Hey guys, it's Friday and it's time for the new video. Today I have a special request from Craig from Massachusetts to show you something crazy, interesting, fun, and rarely played in King's Gambit. I just opted for Tumbleweed attack. I guess most of you never heard of this attack. Most of you have never seen it. Of course, not even tried it. So, just because of this, I find this following 15 minutes very interesting. What makes this story even more interesting is that this variation is probably very, very suspicious for black in practice, but according to the engines and in reality, but in practice it works fantastic. And for example, you have like 3 games in a chess base. All those 3 games, and 2 of those games were correspondence games. White won, so white has a perfect score in this line, and it has like a fantastic psychological effect. For example, I only tried it once. I just wanted to see how does it work, and it's crazy. It's full of nice sacrifices, crazy ideas, and in a way it reminds me of one of my favorite Danish Gambit variations. So enjoy. Like the Chess Bra guys used to say, don't try this at home, but once in a while it's good to try it out. Once again, what makes this line very special is that, for example, you play like 10 games against a friend of yours, you kill him in every single game, and then psychological effect of this game, play this game like I'm gonna beat you whatever I play. Then he goes into something trying to punish you early in the opening, but after this video you are going to have some experience with these lines, and it's not gonna be like you play whatever and something just like that. There are some tricks that white can go for here. So let's go. How does it appear? After e4, e5, f4, King's Gambit, and amongst many variations, he takes f4, King's Gambit accepted. Main line and considered to be bad for black nowadays. King f2. Look at this king. Reminds me of all those crazy king moves where you just like maneuver your king and go from, I don't know, f2, e3, c2, and eventually go on d1. This king f2 has strictly and only psychological, influence on your opponent. So what's the point? The point is to force and to provoke them to play queen h4. Let's be honest, if they play knight f6, we will be in pretty serious difficulties. You have to play knight c3 according to some of my analysis. That could be interesting. Or you can just go with knight f3, knight e4, king g1, and after they can never play bishop c5 because of d4, and if they go with g5, which is considered to be the best here, you play d4, knight c3, and then you probably want to go with some bishop d3, h4, and if you manage to get a pawn back on f4, your position is not going to look that bad. So I just showed you what's absolutely the best for black. For example, people try to punish your early placed king into the center. You can't play bishop c5 because of d4, and you just get a pawn back on f4 and you have a very nice position. So they can play like this. If they play like d5, feel free to take it. Feel free to take it. Once again, bishop c5 doesn't seem to be working, and queen h4 is not working either. You sack this pawn, and when they take, you just hide your king on g2, which makes this variation being so special. If they take, you go like this, they give you check, cover yourself with the knight. They go bishop g4 and play knight c3. For example, taking on f3 would lead nowhere for them at this point, because you end up with an open h-file, bishop pair, and slight advantage in terms of your development. One guy played queen f5 in some blitz game, and after d4 I don't see any serious problems for white in this position. That's why after king f2 literally everyone tries to punish you with the queen h4. Those 3 games that I found in base and I believe 2 of those 3 games, maybe even all these 3 games, were like correspondence games, which definitely says that this variation deserves some attention. Of course, I'm just showing you these lines for blitz and bullet, nothing else. So queen h4, you just go with g3. This is a typical pawn sec, second pawn sec, and after f takes g3, hide your king on g2. You know what's the story here. You're already down like 2 pawns, and you're about to lose the 3rd pawn. He's having 8 pawns. G takes h2 is played, queen e4, and then I'll show you the only game when I saw this gambit, and when Craig asked me to do this video, I just tried to and decided to play 1 game to see if it works, and holy moly, it worked more than good and way better than I expected. So after king g2, for example, they can play bishop d6 to defend h takes g3, but then you have knight f3. They go queen e4, and all of a sudden bishop d3 followed by rook e1 with fast development and attack for white. All of a sudden, position is not that clear anymore. Second variation. The only game that I ever played in this line was in queen e4. But before that, someone tried to play d5 to open up this bishop so he can just prevent knight f3 because of some bishop h3 or queen h3 checkmating ideas. You play a very nice move, knight c3. So you don't want to give up this pawn on e4. And you're just threatening to take on d5 in some cases. But after they take on e4, you take on g3, queen e7, and now d3. I like this, reminds me of a Danish gambit, and why just sacrifices all the pawns. After this one, knight goes on f3. D takes, queen on c2. You know what? I wouldn't mind to play this position with white pieces, even according to top engines, white is just better here. Okay, we just played a little bit, let's just say, straightforward moves for black. Like, what happens if he accepts all these pawn sacrifices? Then position definitely sucks for black. They can play like this. The only game that I ever played was in queen takes e4. Queen takes e4, and I played knight f3. And my opponent didn't play like in the game, correspondence game that I'm about to show you, that happened in United States, 1997. In that game was bishop e7, which makes sense. He just wants to close the e file, so white cannot go with bishop d3 or knight c3 and rook to e1. After, in my game was g takes h2, I captured, and my opponent played logical move knight f6. Probably he thought, what was I doing? I'm like 3 pawns down. But just like I said, if you want to have fun and play something interesting and enjoy your chess, just play this kind of thing. So king g1, and all of a sudden I threatened to play rook e2 and to win the queen. Oops, sorry. My opponent, after king g1, played bishop e7, and I played knight c3. So with a tempi, I developed my second minor piece and attacked this queen placed in the center. He played queen f5, I played d4. Probably my opponent said, no big deal, I just need to make castle and everything is done. And I'll be honest, I would think the same way. So after castles, bishop d3, queen g4. Look at this. Queen already doesn't have too many open and free spots to go and to, I don't know, like put itself into the shelter. Queen went to g4 check, rook g2 and played queen h3. For example, here I can make draw. I can go rook h2, this one, and I can repeat the moves. But just like I said, I wanted to have some fun. I played knight g5, queen h4, and came up with this crazy sacrifice. Knight has to take on h7, and I played knight d5. I'm certainly not threatening to take on c7, but that could be idea sometimes in some variations. I just want to play rook g4 and to remove that queen of defending bishop on e7 and to take this bishop on e7. That's very interesting because my opponent played rook e8 to defend the bishop and I played rook g4. He realized that if he places his queen on h5, I'm winning on the spot, playing rook g7 discover check and winning the queen on h5. He played queen h3 and I played bishop f1. The rest of the game was just brutal realization by Big Maya, and I won this. What can I say? I mean, I was laughing after this game, and I almost couldn't believe that something like this could work in practice. But it did. It did, even better than most of other very serious openings. In that game, played in the United States, was queen e4, knight f3, bishop e7. Let's take a look at another nice game. Knight c3, queen g6. Took the pawn, and at the moment you're only 2 pawns down. Bishop d6 threatens mate in 1. Queen e1 check, defends in g3, and attacks this queen with a tempi. Played bishop to d3. Very interesting. The only moment in the game for black to save his game was queen e6 to play, and after knight b5, white would be slightly better. He would have like an open h-file, nice attack on the dark square bishop to win the bishop pair, so white would have a very nice initiative in this game. That's one of the points of this line. Actually, the whole system is based on crazy sacrifices, surprising tactical ideas by white, and a lot of like attacking and tactical spirit by white. After bishop d3, he played f5. I played, this guy played knight h4. And look at this, queen f7, knight f5. In case of queen f6, knight f5. So he played literally the only move, sacked this piece. And after d5, the rest was realization by white. He had like 3 pawns for the piece, but with the bishop pair, with like 4 minor pieces, and way better development for white, I believe this is just a matter of technique. Played knight f3, b4, nice to not to play c5, bishop a3 in order to stop long castle because of b5, and knight on e7 would be hanging. b5, knight b4, placing the rook on the open file. Didn't want to take on f4 and give him some additional counter chances with a short castle. King f8, rook h4, brought this pawn back, and after knight e5, this guy decided to call it a day. Very nice game, and another surprisingly easy win by white. And finally, those who play queen h4, g3, and decide to take this pawn on h2. I'm showing you a third game, and the system played back to 1963, played in the United States. Another correspondence game. The guy captured by rook, queen e4, queen is under the attack, literally that's the only move. Don't worry, if they play queen g5, you just hide your king here, and you have knight f3 with a tempi, knight c3, d4 with a tempi. This queen doesn't have an easy time. So, once again, if you're willing to risk, go with this line. If not, don't play. Don't play tournament chess, only and strictly blitz and bullet. So after rook h2, queen e4, and knight on f3. I kind of like this position because it's not so clear how are they supposed to win this one. No, they're not winning. If they play bishop d6, which is like the first engine idea with a trick of queen g4, you play rook h4, queen g6, king h1. And for example, just to show you like the difficulty of this line, if you play, I don't know, knight f6, such a logical move. They go d4, bishop d3, they go bishop g5, threatening bishop takes f6, bishop h7, knight bd2, and boom, bishop f4, and rook h2. So queen can easily find itself being trapped in many of these variations if they just don't pay too much attention. So this is very tricky. In the game was d6, and that was like an open call for this guy to win the game. King g1, what I applied in my blitz game as well. Knight c3 with a tempi, forcing this queen to chasing it away. Rook g2, once again chasing away the queen. And d4 with the idea of d5. The guy played bishop g4, rook f2, which is nice. Don't forget he's only like 3 pawns down, but I say only 3 pawns down, but he's got a nice piece activity. Knight d7, wants to make long castle, and this guy played knight g5. Kind of interesting move because he's not allowing long castle. f7 is hanging with further pressure and attack. And after knight f6, played bishop c4, threatening on f7. Only move is bishop e6, captured, and played bishop e6. Now position is absolutely unclear, maybe even way better for white, even though white is 2 pawns down, because king cannot castle whether on king or queen side anymore. We got a bishop here. We got an open king, but this king is weaker on e8. And queen h4, knight b5 threatens knight c7. After king d8, literally the only move there, bishop f4. I don't know, maybe threatening some queen a5 or queen c3. After knight c8, the guy played queen f1. Probably he assumed that this queen f1 could be an interesting idea because it is going to allow this rook to come on e1, queen to come on c4, a rook to go on h2 and chase away this queen, threatening to trap up the queen. Actually, that's the main threat. Queen on f1 defends the bishop on f4 and threatens rook h2. And when the guy played knight g4, you know what's the thing. Pause the video and find the tactics. And whoever found bishop g5, congratulations. Hope you enjoy this tumbleweed attack in the King's Gambit. It's for fun. It's just to enjoy in your chess and to have like lots of nice moments regarding like crazy sacrifices and openings. This was a bullet chapter and bullet opening. You're going to be able to find this video in that chapter. Hope you're going to like more of content in the future, and thanks Frank for your request. We just carry on with some more serious stuff in the next couple of videos. Have fun. Bye bye.